In today's video, I'm going to do a walkthrough of SAT Practice Test 1's Math No Calculator section. I've scored perfectly on back-to-back SAT math sections, and as I go through these problems, I'm going to show you the most efficient route to take on each and every one so that you can improve on your next SAT. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so if we take a look at question number 1, we have if x minus 1 over 3 equals k and k is equal to 3, what is the value of x? So in this case, all we got to do is solve for x. So we'll go ahead and plug in 3 for k. From there, we want to get x isolated. So to isolate x, we're going to multiply each side by 3. We know 3 times 3 will give us 9. Therefore, we have x minus 1 is equal to 9. From there, we can go ahead and add 1 to each side to isolate x, and we're going to end up getting x is equal to 10. So our answer there is going to be answer choice D. Moving on to number 2. We've got for I is equal to the square root of negative 1, what is the sum of the quantity 7 plus 3i plus negative 8 plus 9i? In this case, we're going to combine our like terms since we're adding. So we've got 3i plus 9i, that's going to leave us with 12i. Then we've got 7 plus negative 8, which is the same as 7 minus 8, which will leave us with negative 1. So we'll have negative 1 plus 12i, which we see is going to be answer choice A. Moving on to question number 3. We've got on Saturday afternoon, Armand sent M text messages each hour for 4 hours. Which of the following represents the number of messages sent by Armand and Tyrone on Saturday afternoon? Well, Armand has a rate that he's sending text messages each hour. So his rate is M. So we need to do his rate multiplied by the amount of time he is sending those text messages at that rate. So that's going to be a total of 5M. We have 5 hours times the rate at which he's sending those text messages per hour. Our hours will cancel and we'll be left with the total number of text messages he's sending. Same thing with Tyrone, but instead he's sending them for 4 hours at a rate of P text messages per hour. So our total answer there is going to be 5M plus 4P, which will be answer choice C. Moving on to question 4. We've got Kathy as a repair technician for a phone company. Each week she receives a batch of phones that needs repairs. The number of phones that she has left to fix, keep in mind it's left to fix at the end of each day, not the amount she has fixed, can be estimated with the equation P equals 108 minus 23D, where P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days she has worked that week. What is the meaning of the value 108 in this equation? Well, we need to take a look at this keeping in mind that if D was 0, she hasn't worked any days, she'd still have 108 phones left to fix that week. So that has to be the number of phones that she's starting each week with that she has to fix. So our answer there has to be B. If we take a look at A, C, and D, A says Kathy will complete the repairs within 108 days. That's incorrect. Answer choice C, Kathy repairs the phones at a rate of 108 per hour. No, she repairs them at a rate of 23 per day. And then answer choice D, she repairs the phones at a rate of 108 per day. No, she repairs them at a rate of 23 per day. All right, moving on to question number 5. So we've got which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? All right, so in this case, we've got to subtract everything in parentheses on the right here from our left formula. So we've got x squared times y. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with that term. So I've got x squared times y minus negative x squared y. Well, minus that negative is going to turn into a plus. So I'm going to have x squared y plus x squared y, which we know is going to end up giving us 2x squared y. So 2x squared y. From there, I'm going to take a look at my answer choices, find what I can get rid of. I can get rid of A since it doesn't have 2x squared y. Looking at B, I can get rid of that because it doesn't have 2x squared y. And then I see C and D both have 2x squared y, so they have to stay in as possible answer choices. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my next term, which is negative 3y squared. I see I've got negative 3y squared minus negative 3y squared. So minus the negative turns it into an addition. So I've got negative 3y squared plus 3y squared. I know that negative 3y squared plus 3y squared is going to get rid of my y squared term. So once I get rid of my y squared term, I'm going to have nothing there. Okay, so it's 0y squared. I shouldn't have a y squared term. I see I do have a y squared term in D, therefore D has to be incorrect, and my correct answer has to be answer choice C. All right, if I take a look at question number 6, we've got a pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height h of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age A in years, between the ages of 2 and 5. Based on the model, what's the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? Well, we know that years are represented by A, which is representing the age. So as the age increases by 1, we see his height then has to increase by 3. So our answer there has to be answer choice A. All right, moving on to question number 7. It's going to look a little bit difficult, but I'm going to show you how you can solve this question really easily. So first thing that's jumping out to me immediately is I've got a bunch of variables, and then if I look at my answer choices, I just have one variable set equal to all the rest. In this case, it's P. So I know that all I got to do is give P in terms of M, R, and N. So I don't need to read this first part. That first part's irrelevant. all I got to do is solve for p. So in this case, it might look really confusing to you, but I'm going to really show you how to simplify it down. If I was to write this as m equals 1 over 2 p, and you had to solve for what p equals, you would go ahead and multiply each side by 2, right, to get rid of our denominator, and then you'd divide each side by 1 to get rid of this 1 here, and then you'd have solve for p, right? You'd have 2 over 1 times m equals p. Well, it's the same thing with number 7. All we got to do is flip this fraction here that's next to p and put it over by m. So when we do that, our denominator is going to become our numerator, and our numerator is going to become our denominator. So now we just take a look at our answer choices, find which answer choice has 1 plus r over 1,200 raised to the power of n minus 1 as its numerator, and we see that's answer choice B. No other answer choice has that in its numerator, therefore answer has to be B. All right, moving on to number 8. We've got if a over b is equal to 2, what is the value of 4b over a? Well, if a over b is equal to 2, and we've got b over a over here, then we know b over a has to equal 1/2, because this could be rewritten as 2 over 1. We have to flip it. b over a is going to be 1/2. So 4 times 1/2 is going to end up giving us 2. So our answer there is going to be answer choice C. All right, moving on to number 9. What is the solution xy to the system of equations above? In this case, what I'm going to look to do is solve for my x. Now the reason I want to solve for x rather than y is because if I look at my answer choices, I see I have -6 and -6. So if I solve for y first and y is -6, I have to go through and also solve for x. But if I solve for x first, I don't have to solve for y because all my x's are different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to get rid of my y and solve for x because that's the most efficient way to solve this. I've got 4y up top. I have 2y on the bottom. I'm going to multiply my whole bottom equation by 2. So that way I can do 4y minus 4y and completely get rid of my y's. Then I can easily solve for my x. So I'll have 3x minus 2 times -x, which will give me 3x minus -2x, which is 3x plus 2x, which will give me 5x. Then I'll have 4y minus 2 times 2y, which is 4y minus 4y. My y's are gone. Then I've got -23 minus 2 times -19, which will be minus -2 times -19, which is going to give me 38. So I'll have -23 minus -38, which becomes -23 plus 38, which leaves me with 15. So I'll have 5x is equal to 15. From there, I go ahead and divide each side by 5. 15 over 5 is going to leave me with 3. So I'll have x is equal to 3. Now that I know what x is equal to, I can go and answer my question, and I know that that's going to be answer choice B as my answer. All right, number 10. For the function g defined above, a is a constant and g of 4 is equal to 8. What is the value of g of -4? Well, if x is getting squared, we know 4 squared is 16. And if we were to plug in -4, we know that -4 squared is also going to equal 16. Therefore, since x is squared and we have -4 and 4, if g of 4 is equal to 8, g of -4 also has to equal 8. So our answer there is going to be answer choice A. All right, number 11. Okay, so we've got in the equation above, B and C represent the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken respectively X weeks after July 1st during the last summer. What was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? Well, in this case, we have to solve for when they're equal first, which will be solving for X. Then we have to plug what X is in order to get the price per pound of chicken and beef when they're equal. So to do this, we'll go ahead and set up our problem. We'll have 2.35 plus 0.25x is equal to 1.75 plus 0.4x. All right, from here, I'm going to keep my x positive, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 0.25x from each side. When I do that, I'm going to be left with 0.15x. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get my constants all on one side, so I'm going to subtract 1.75 from each side. When I do that, I'm going to end up with 0.6. So now I have 0.60 is equal to 0.15x. From there, I can go ahead and recognize that x is going to equal 4. If you don't recognize that, you can divide each side by 0.15. Dividing each side by 0.15 is going to end up giving you 4 is equal to x. Okay, so now that we've solved for what x is equal to, all we got to do is plug that in for either equation here. Now in this case, I'm going to choose to plug it in to the equation for beef because I see I have 0.25, and if I multiply that by 4, I know that that's going to give me 1. So now I'll have 2.35 plus 1, which will give me 3.35 as my final answer. So now all I got to do is find my correct answer choice with 3.35, and that's going to be answer choice D. So D will be my correct answer for number 11. Now we can go ahead and move on to number 12. We've got a line in the xy plane, passes through the origin, has a slope of 1/7. Which of the following points lies on the line? Okay, key thing here is that it's passing through the origin. If you don't know what the origin is, that's going to be the point 0 and 0. So our y-intercept 0, slope is 1/7. Therefore, since our slope's less than 1 and we're going through the origin, we know that our y has to be less than our x. So x has to be greater than y. That's not true in A, B, or C, but it is true in answer choice D. Therefore, D will be my correct answer. All right, moving on to number 13. So if x is greater than 3, which of the following is equivalent to 1 over 1 times x, 1 divided by x plus 2 plus 1 over x plus 3. All right, so in order to solve this, we need to add these fractions together, but right now they don't have a common denominator, so we have to give them a common denominator. To do that, what we're going to do is multiply our left fraction by x plus 3 over x plus 3. Now we're getting our common denominator of x plus 3 times x plus 2. Now with x plus 3 in the denominator right here, that means we have to multiply by x plus 2 over x plus 2. So let's go ahead and do that. Now when we do that, we know that this 1 is just going to follow over here. So we'll have a 1 up top still, and then we'll have 1 over x plus 3 plus x plus 2, which we know will give us 2x plus 5. And then from there, I'm just going to quick make my pen a little bit smaller so you can see it better. We'll have to divide that then by x plus 3 times x plus 2. Okay, so when we do that, we see none of our answer choices are written in the format where we have x plus 3 times x plus 2. So what we'll want to do then is we're going to want to go ahead and FOIL that out. So that's going to be x plus 3 times x plus 2, which we know is going to end up giving us x squared, and then plus 3x, and then also plus 2x, which will give us plus 5x. And then we're going to end up having plus 2 times plus 3, which will give us plus 6. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and switch my pen back to being a little bit thicker now. Okay, so now that we've solved that out, we're just going to go ahead and substitute that in for this x plus 3 times x plus 2. So we're going to have x squared plus 5x plus 6. Now all we got to do is, since we have this 1 up top here, we've got to flip these two numbers that I'm going to put in orange. We've got to flip these two. Okay, so what's on the very bottom right now is going to become our numerator, and then what's in the middle there will become our denominator. So when we do that, we're going to end up with x squared. Let me go ahead and switch my pen if it'll let me. There we go. We're going to end up with x squared plus 5x plus 6 all over top of 2x plus 5, which we see is going to be answer choice B, so B will be our answer there. All right, next up we've got 14. 14 here, key thing here is going to be recognizing that 8 is equal to 2 to the power of 3. Okay, so we've got if 3x minus y is equal to 12, what's the value of 8 to the power of x divided by 2 to the power of y? Well, we know that 8 is equal to 2 to the third power. So that's what we're going to go ahead and substitute in. So we're going to have 2 to the third power. We have to keep in mind we still have this x, so it's going to be 2 to the power of 3x divided by 2 to the power of y. Now this is going to equal 2 to the power of 3x minus y, because we have the same base of 2. So what we got to do, since we're dividing them, is subtract the exponent in our denominator from the exponent in our numerator. So that's going to equal 2 to the power of 3x minus y, which we know is equal to 12. Therefore, our answer has to be 2 to the power of 12, which is answer choice A. All right, moving on, we've got question 15. All right, so 15, we've got if A times x plus 2 times the quantity b times x plus 7 is equal to 15x squared plus cx plus 14 for all values of x, and a plus b is equal to 8. What are two possible values for c? Key parts here, a plus b is equal to 8. Okay, anytime that we're given some sort of rule to follow like this, we need to make sure that we're paying close attention to it. In this case, it's a plus b is equal to 8. Next thing that I see, I've got this x squared term, which I know is going to come from ax times bx, which will give me abx squared. Therefore, I know a times b has to equal 15. A times b has to equal 15. Now from this, I'm looking for factors then of 15 that add up to 8. Immediately, I'm thinking 3 and 5. So we can go ahead and call 3a and we'll call 5b. Keep in mind, you could do it the other way around, calling a5 and b3. It doesn't really matter. All right, so now we'll go ahead and substitute in and solve for the value of c. So we'll go ahead and do 3x plus 2. Multiply that out by 5x plus 7, and we're going to solve for our x term. So we'll have 3x times 7, which will give us 21x. And then we'll have 2 times 5x, which will give us 10x. We know that that's going to give us 31x, which we see is only present in answer choice D. Therefore, D will be our answer. Keep in mind, if you were to go ahead and switch these and say that A is equal to 5 and B is equal to 3, then you would end up getting 41x. So the two possible values for C are 31x and 41x. So values for C, 31, 41. Answer there is going to be D. All right, moving on, we would go ahead and do number 16. All right, so we've got if T is greater than 0, which just means T is positive then, and T squared minus 4 is equal to 0, what's the value of T? In order to solve for T here, we want to isolate T, so we're going to add 4 to each side. We're going to get 4 is equal to T squared. We'll take the square root of T squared in order to isolate T. Then we're going to end up getting T is equal to the square root of 4, which we know will equal 2. It can't be negative 2 because T's got to be positive. Our answer there is going to be 2. All right, number 17. 17 is a little bit of a big problem, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. We've got a summer camp counselor wants to find a length x in feet across a lake as represented in the sketch above. The lengths represented by AB, EB, BD, and CD on the sketch were determined to be 1,800 feet. I'm going to go ahead and start marking up my diagram. So I've got AB is going to be 1,800. And then I've got 1,400 feet is going to be E to B. So 1,400 will be here. Then I've got 700 is going to be BD. So I'll mark that there. And then I've got 800 is going to be CD. So 800 will be right there, respectively. Segments AC and DE intersect at B, and angle AEB and angle CDB have the same measure. What is the value of X? All right, so we're solving for X here. Key thing I'm recognizing right off the bat is I've got vertical angles where I'm marking these blue measures by the angles. So that's going to be where that B is. I've got vertical angles there. So those angles are going to be the same measure. From there, I can see that these are going to be similar triangles because angle EAB, which I'm going to put in orange here, is going to have to be the same as angle DCB. All right, so now that I've got my similar triangles, I'm going to find the corresponding side lengths and find the ratio from my smaller triangle to my larger triangle to solve for X. So to do that, I see that from B to D, which is going to be the corresponding side length to EB, is a double, right? I go from 700 to 1,400, that's a doubling. So in order to double then from 800, which is DC, to X, I'm going to end up with X being 1,600, okay? Because that's a corresponding side length, AE, to its corresponding side length, the DC. My answer there is going to have to be 1,600 for the value of X then. All right, moving on to question number 18. So we've got a system of equations above. What's the value of X? In order to solve for X, I want to get rid of Y. In order to get rid of Y, I've got 2Y here. So I'm going to multiply this top equation by 2, get 2Y, and then subtract my bottom equation. So I'm going to have 2X minus X. That's going to leave me with X. I'll have 2Y minus 2Y. That's going to get rid of my Y's. I'll have 2 times negative 9, which will leave me with negative 18. And then I'll have negative 18 minus negative 25, which becomes plus 25, thus leaving me with 7. Therefore, X will equal 7. I see I'm asked for the value of X. My answer there is going to be 7. Question 19. In a right triangle, one angle measures X where the sine of X is 4/5. What is the cosine 90 minus X? I know that that's going to be 4/5. I know you're thinking, how did he answer that so quickly? And I'm going to show you right now. All right, well, if sine of X is 4/5, and I'm going to draw this out so you can see it visually, I've got my right angle here, and I'm going to call angle X this angle there. And I'm going to call cosine 90 minus X, I'm going to call 90 minus X Y. I'm going to call it angle Y. Now, the reason why is because if we have X right here, then we know, since this is a right triangle, angle Y has to be 90 minus whatever angle X is. From there, I see that the sine of X is 4/5. I know that the sine is going to be the opposite over the hypotenuse. Therefore, my hypotenuse is 5. My opposite of X is going to be 4. From there, I'm asked for the cosine of Y, or 90 minus X. I know that my cosine is my adjacent over my hypotenuse. I see the adjacent side to angle Y, or angle 90 minus X, is 4, and my hypotenuse is still 5. Therefore, my answer is 4/5. So being able to recognize that if you have sine of X is equal to some number, cosine of 90 minus X is going to equal that same number. That's something you're going to want to memorize if you were looking to score close to perfectly on the math section, because it's going to help you save a lot of time. All right, question 20. We have if A is equal to 5 times the square root of 2 and 2A is equal to root 2x, what's the value of X? All right, this one right here, we have A. We're going to go ahead and plug that in, and then we're going to start working to isolate X and get it out of that square root. So we're going to have 2 times 5 times the square root of 2, and then that's going to be set equal to the square root of 2x. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this 2 by that 5 times the square root of 2, and that's going to give me 10 times the square root of 2. is equal to the square root 2x. From there, I'm going to go ahead and square each side to get my x out of that square root. When I do that, I'm going to end up getting 10 times 10, which is 100, times the square root of 2 squared, which is 2. So I'm going to have 100 times 2, which will give me 200, which will be equal to 2x. Since the square root of 2x squared is going to give me 2x, from there, I can divide each side by 2 to solve for x. When I do that, I'm going to end up getting 200 over 2, which I know is going to equal 100 equals x. So my answer there will be 100 for question 20. Hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, make sure to like and subscribe. In addition to that, if you gain value from my videos and my channel, please consider donating. It helps me continue to be able to put these videos out for free. In addition to that, if you're looking for private SAT tutoring, college admissions consulting, or college essay editing, be sure to check out my website. And with all that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.